Hey guys, Will here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to our video series on setting up a racing simulator. So if you haven't seen the previous videos in the series, I'll link them above my head for you right now to check out. We've covered the unboxing of a bunch of Fanatec gear so far, so wheels, pedals, wheelbases. We've also covered off a crazy Formula 1 cockpit replica that I tried out and kind of failed with, as well as my old setup with my G27 racing wheel on the Wheel Stand Pro as well. So what we're aiming to do with this video series is basically compare a high-end system, which is what I'm building now in this video, with my old system, which I've been using for a long time, to sort of determine whether it adds some real realism to the whole overall gaming and simulation experience and whether it improves lap times as well. So that's the aim of the overall video series. But in this video, we are going to be unboxing and assembling our brand new FGT racing cockpit and our monitor stand from Next Level Racing. So if you're not familiar with this, this is the FGT, which is a brand new model. It's only just come out and there's not too much information about it floating around on the internet just yet. The predecessor to this was the F1 GT, which was essentially exactly the same, but there are a couple little bits and pieces that people gave them some feedback about that they weren't quite happy with in terms of, things like adjustment and look and feel and the overall quality of the finish. And those things, I'm happy to say, apparently have all been addressed in this brand new model, the FGT. So this is sort of the second iteration of the original. So before we kick off, I do just want to quickly point out that Next Level Racing have very kindly provided this equipment to me for free. Having said that, they haven't put any conditions on what I say. They're not a sponsor of the video. They're not paying me to make this video, but they have provided this equipment for free. So while I will attempt to be as honest with my opinions, and obviously if there's anything that I don't like about it, I will point that out to them as well as you guys in the video as well. But do just keep in the back of your mind that they did provide this equipment to me for free. So just some full disclosure there. But anyway, let's get stuck into the unboxing of the FGT and the monitor stand. All right, so we'll move the monitor stand aside just for now because we'll start off with the cockpit itself. I'm sure that's the part that most people are going to be the most interested in. So massive, massive, massive box, and I believe it weighs about 46 kilograms as well. So not something that you're going to be moving around on your own, so just be mindful that it does require quite a bit of space to get unpackaged. And yeah, I'm kind of doing this in the middle of my living room because I don't have anywhere else to do it, but that's okay. So we'll just slice through the tape here and we'll have a look at what we get inside the box. So straight away it looks like everything's pretty nicely packaged up. We'll have a look here. Put my knife away. So we've got our seat cushion there, nicely packaged in some Ziploc bags. So we'll pull that out quickly and have a look. So that's just like a cushion that you put under like a lumbar support kind of thing, and that's a really nice quality fabric there. I'm not sure if it's suede or what it is. I'll have a look through the little manual later on. It doesn't feel like suede. I think it's just like a cotton polyester sort of thing, but nonetheless, very, very nice quality there. It's got some elastic on the back as well for adjustment, I assume. You can sort of slide it up and down the back. So set that aside for now. What I'll do is I'll get everything out of the box, then I'll kind of put everything back on the platform afterwards, move the box aside, and we can have a proper look. So next up we have what looks like the seat back itself. So we'll lift that up, pull it out of the bubble wrap. Very well packaged, I've got to say. For the awkward nature of this package, it's actually a relatively small box. So pull the bubble wrap off. The kids are going to love that. And slide off that is, again, really nice. So move that way you can see it. Really nice embroidery there, good quality. It's obviously not real leather, but that doesn't really matter for something like this. It's a nice pleather anyway. And very, very, very good quality. I didn't do a review of it because I wasn't particularly impressed with it, but I bought a Vertigear racing chair, which you would have seen in some of my other videos. And to be honest, the build quality of that was absolutely garbage, but this is really, really nice. So have a look at that, and obviously we'll have a closer look at it later on as well, but nice and squishy. Not too squishy, so relatively realistic. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how realistic this feels when we're actually sitting up against it, but nice and sturdy as well, which is obviously going to be important. We don't want to have any flex in the back of it when we're pushing against our wheel and that sort of thing. So it definitely feels nice and sturdy with not too much flex there, or not any flex there, which is fantastic. That was one thing that I was a little bit worried about looking at the photos, is that it might be a little bit kind of not rigid enough. So we'll set that aside quickly as well. And then we have the thigh and upper leg support. slide out of the package as well. Trying to do this as gracefully as possible. Not a very graceful person. So, get off the back here. So again, nice quality. Screws in the side there to mount it all together, and nice and sturdy rails. And you can see there's an adjustment rail there as well, like what you would find in a car. So obviously the rails here adjust onto the platform, and you've got manual adjustment here as well, so you can actually adjust the seating position while you're driving, which is cool. So we'll set that aside quickly as well. All right, so now we have another box, which I assume is all the other assembly hardware and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this out because it's going to be very tricky to get out on camera. So I'll lift it out, move the stuff out of the way, put it on the top of the cabinet here, and we'll continue. Here we go. Hopefully I haven't opened this upside down. I don't think I have. I took it out in the same order that it came out of the box. So we'll see what happens, but set this stuff aside here. So this is obviously the pedal plate. So we'll quickly take this out of the bubble wrap as well. Okay, so this is our first glimpse at a nice flat black finish of a nice solid piece there. So you can see that the previous one I believe was a gloss finish, whereas now they've moved to this matte black finish, which I really like. It almost looks like a barbecue grill, but it's a really nice uniform powder coated finish. It doesn't look like there's any sort of blemishes or anything there. There's no scratches or scrapes or anything, and again, it's a really solid piece of steel there. It's not going to move at all, which I think, again, that's the reason why this package is so heavy, is because everything's constructed of really solid steel, so there's no flex in anything. But that's nice and rigid as well, so put that aside as well. And continue on. So, okay, we have an instruction manual, so finally I can sound like I know what I'm doing here. So let's have a look at what we've got in here. A bit of a summary of parts there. Ah, nice, excellent. So it looks like this has got some really nice clear assembly instructions, which no doubt are going to come in use later on in the video when we start to put everything together. Some nice stickers as well. It's a nice touch, and those look like they're decent quality as well, which is cool. So this is something that I've not seen before in all my years of assembling various different bits and pieces. Everything's mapped out really clearly here. You've got your washers, you've got your posts, your bolts, your nuts, felt strips as well, and even a spanner. So even the tools that you need to assemble this are all included. And it's really nice to get all of this in a nice set out package like this, and not just in bags where bits can get lost and everything. I mean, the number of times I've bought something like this and there's been stuff missing. Now, one thing I have read online is that they give you a bunch of extra bolts as well, so we'll find that out when we assemble. But that is really impressive. I really like that because it reduces the risk of there being bits missing significantly, because they'd spot that in manufacturing. It also makes it really easy to know what's what when you're putting things together. And the fact that they include the tools as well is a really nice touch. So we'll set that aside too. All right, so here in front of us we have every single thing that is included inside the box, all laid out nicely. So I'll go through every single part with my little reference guide in my hand so that we can sort of identify everything and how it's all going to go together. So we'll start off on this side. This is our seat base. So this is the part that we looked at before with the rail on the bottom that's all adjustable. Obviously our tools, and I'll set that aside. Our pedal plate, and then we've got our side seat frames here. So these are the parts that go on the side of the seat. We've got our front plate, which is the part that goes at the very front of the unit. Then we've got our wheel plate, which is the part that the steering wheel mounts to. And you can see it's got a assortment of various different holes for various different mounting points for different wheels. And it looks like it does have the correct ones for my Fanatec wheelbase 2.5, which would be these three. Then we've got our angle mounts for the side of the seat to adjust the pitch of the back. Then we'll move across to here. I'm just kind of kneeling down on the floor here to go through everything. We've got the floor posts, we've got the wheel support bars, and these are extendable to adjust the height of the steering wheel. Then we've got our side frames. So these are the parts that sort of sit in front of the seat and extend across. So then we've got our side frames, which are the parts that the wheel supports go on, as well as our monitor support bar will also mount onto this as well. Move across to the other side. So we have our shifter bracket. We've got our little casters, which will sit underneath the unit. And we've got our adjustable pedal angle bar here. We've got our GT support posts. Now the GT support posts are what we slide underneath the seat, and mount into place to adjust between the F1 style seating position and the GT style seating position. And one of the really cool things, and the thing that really sold me on this setup, was the fact that you can actually adjust it completely to be a reclined Formula 1 style seating position, and also an upright style GT for rally and, you know, V8 supercars, GT style cars, whatever you want to do there. So it's a really versatile cockpit. So continuing on, we've got obviously our lumbar support cushion. We've got our seat back, which again, as I said before, is really nice and sturdy. It's not floppy at all. It's nice and rigid. We've got our Buttkicker Gamer 2 adapter. So this is to install a Buttkicker, which is like a vibration module that goes underneath the seat to give you a little bit of added realism there as well. And I think that's pretty much everything. We've got our shifter arm here as well, and we already covered the GC support post. So I think we've covered everything that is in the kit now. So I guess the next thing to do is to start putting things together. So wish me luck. So having a quick thumb through the instructions, it actually looks like it's going to be very, very straightforward to assemble, but it's probably going to be a lot of messing around and stuffing around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it together, I'm going to time lapse it, and what I'll do is if I come across anything that's tricky or confusing, I'll stop and explain it in more detail. And then if you guys have any questions or anything that you think is unclear in the instructions at all, let me know in the comments below, and what I'll do is I can always do another video showing you in more detail, because otherwise we're going to be here for hours putting this thing together, and nobody wants to watch a video of some guy stuffing around looking like an idiot trying to put something together. So we'll go through, but look, you can see the steps are pretty straightforward. There's only 14 or so steps, and it's just bolting pieces together. Everything's really, really clearly labeled, as you can see there. So I really don't anticipate too much drama putting this together. Might need a second person at some points, but we'll see how we go. So let's start with the assembly. Okay, so we've got the frame assembled. Now, the one tip that I would have for you when doing this is do everything up loosely to begin with. Don't tighten any one part of it until you've got everything together, because once you tighten the front, it makes it nearly impossible to tighten the middle, and then that makes it nearly impossible to tighten the support frame at the back here. So keep everything loose and then tighten it all up once it's all together, and that makes things a lot easier. So moving on to our monitor stand, this should be a lot more simple to put together, but just have a quick look at it. So it supports up to 3 27-inch screens or 1 up to 65-inch screen. So we've got a couple of different configuration options there. Now I think what I'm probably going to end up doing is going with 1 larger screen rather than 3 smaller screens, simply because I prefer to not have the seams. But what we'll do is we'll set it up in front of the rig, and we'll see what we think is going to work best, and then we'll choose a screen based off that. So let's get this unboxed to begin with. There we go. All right, so quickly going through what we've got in the box. We've got our little felt pads again, which install underneath the brackets here to stop them from rocking back and forth once they're tightened up. We've got a little bag of bolts here again, and a bag of washers and nuts and more bolts, again with the tools that are required to do up everything again. So a couple of little Allen keys there, which is nice. Now we don't have a complete parts list with descriptions this time. All we've got is a little sheet of paper with assembly instructions, but it looks really straightforward. So what we'll do is we'll probably actually install it on the unit itself rather than trying to construct it separately and then place it on. So we'll bring the unit back out and put everything on there, but we'll go through quickly. So we've got the 2 side mounts, which obviously mount onto the platform itself. We've got the arms, which raise and lower up and down like so for the monitor to actually sit on. So then we've got a couple of configuration options from there. So you can see we've got 1, 2, 3 brackets here for installing up to 27-inch PC monitors. And then we've got these rails here, which are for installing TVs, so larger screens. And that's probably what we're going to end up actually using in this installation. But we'll set up both and configure both just so you get a look at how it's going to look with both setups. And then we've got our rails here, which will actually mount onto these. And then depending on how you configure it, these are the side rails that fold out to mount the additional screens. So all very, very nice construction. Once again, the same quality as we found with the actual cockpit itself. So all really solid, all really rigid, no problems there at all. So let's get to putting it all together. So one thing that we do need to note here is that when you install the monitor mount, obviously you're limiting the range of adjustment that you have for your steering wheel bracket. So once we've installed this, obviously we're not going to be able to move this forward and backwards anymore unless we were to install this in a different location and move our pedal box back. So the more accessories you install along the side rails, the more limited your options become for movement. But I think because I've already set this up in the ideal spot, and because we do just have enough room to install this behind it, it's not going to create a problem for me. But if you were taller or had disproportionately long arms and were having to move this further back, then you would run into issues unless you were to also move the pedal box back. So you could have this back here, have the pedal box further right back up the end, and then have this mounted here, or you could also, of course, put the move the pedals forward slightly and have the monitor mounted further back again. But just remember, the more you do install along these rails, the more limited your options become in terms of installations. Okay, so we've got quite a large range of adjustment here on these rails here. So these will install here. So we can go anywhere from that high all the way down to here. So obviously I don't see why you would ever have it that low, but you can if you want to, if you were really short and you had your steering wheel really low. So what we'll do is we'll install both of these. We'll set them to the height that I think I'm probably going to end up using, which will probably be the maximum because it's going to be such a big screen that we'll be installing. We can always drop it down later on if we need to. So now to install the mounting bracket for the monitor. So you can see here it lines up with the screw holes here on both sides. Okay, so if we were to use our monitor mounts, we'd install one there, and then one here on this sliding rail here, and then the third one on that side. And what that would allow us to do is adjust the pitch. So when we're sitting in the cockpit, we can have these bent around and we can have our monitors, depending on what size, we can move the arms in and out to get the gaps right so the monitors sit right up against each other. What I think I'm going to do is use the center rails though. So what I'll do is I'll take these side parts off and then use the TV mounting rails. So basically what you do is you install these rails onto the back of the TV first, and then they effectively just hang in. So you can see there's a little notch there on either side. So you get your TV and you just kind of lift it on and it swings into place and sits on there sturdily like that. And because of the weight of the TV, it's never going to go anywhere. And then if you want to take the TV back off, all you need to do is just swing it forward slightly and lift it off. That makes it nice and easy to move around as well, because you can take the TV off easily, move the rig, and then put the TV back on again. Okay, so while we're working down here, I just wanted to point out a couple of differences between the older F1 GT and this new FGT and the things that they've improved. So the first thing you'll notice straight away is that it's now a matte black finish, also with matte black screws and bolts as well, which is a nice touch. It just gives it that cleaner kind of stealth look. They've also now upgraded to these sliding mechanisms here. So instead of having pre-drilled holes, which kind of locked you into having very specific positions, the adjustments are now slidable along. So it gives you a lot more scope of adjustment. They've also added a greater scope of adjustment for the pedal plate, as well as the steering wheel plate as well. We also now have the included Buttkicker Gamer 2 adapter plate as well. Now, in addition to these little adjustable casters, which you can use to compensate for variances in your floor height to make sure everything sits on an even keel, it's also now compatible with the Next Level Racing lockable wheel casters as well, which you can use to move the thing around the house a lot more easily if you wish to do so. So overall, really nice to see that those little complaints from the past model have been addressed in the new model. Okay, so that is the unboxing and assembly of the Next Level Racing FGT cockpit and monitor stand. So the next step now will be to decide what we want to do in terms of a display, whether we're going to use a 3-monitor setup or a single TV. I think I'm going to end up going with a single TV, but we'll cover that in the next video as well. Now, look, in terms of the assembly, I was really impressed with how easily everything went together. There was no major issues. A couple of little things which I got a little bit caught up on, which I covered in the video, but other than that, don't expect to have a difficult time. All the holes lined up perfectly. There was no issues, anything like that either. So yeah, all in all, a very good experience so far, but it's going to be interesting to get everything set up and all sorted out. So a big thanks once again to Next Level Racing for providing this cockpit for the purpose of evaluation and review for you guys. As a special thanks to you guys for watching the video as well, there is a discount coupon to Next Level Racing in the description below as well, so make sure you check that out as well. But that's it for this video. If you found it interesting and useful, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button too so you don't miss the next video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.